Okay, thank you, everybody, for the introductions. Now we're going to move for the election of officers. Is there anyone that wants to nominate on the board, for any particular position, or would like to nominate themselves for a particular position?
I would like to nominate Mario president and myself, vice president. And Corey's, secretary, and, Ariel, treasurer.
Okay,
Seven. Get the motion.
okay.
So you need a second.
I second the motion.
I second the motion.
So what?
Now call for it.
Now we call for a vote.
You call for a vote. Like, all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, there's no nays, the motion carries. So be it.
First week, we'll get it.
It's happening.
Now, we need to make a motion to establish legal counsel. Do we have the contract and everyone had time to review it? Everyone had time to review it? Okay. Somebody wants to make a motion to approve this contract
I
for Chris Wright to be the legal counsel of this organization?
I make a motion to accept the proposal here for making Chris Wright our legal counsel of the Sole Resident Association.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, so then Mario asks president, there's one bottom. And then secretary, Corey, with a sign.
Sorry.
And then I would sign it as well, and then we're able to get a full.
We have to sign both copies?
Okay.
Both copies?
Yeah, sign both copies, because then we'll be able to get an original for the association records, and then I'll keep going. One, a minute. Okay. We call it just the other two agencies there.
Are we gonna do that now or after the manager's report?
I don't think we have another line. So there's.
You can do it as new business.
Okay, you can do it. No,
It's up to you, but.
it's up to you. You're president. Yeah, but let me, when you're done with this, let me sign, then I'll do the floor.
Okay. Number one, or?
Yeah, that's done.
All right, we'll move over then to the manager's report.
Okay, so, I've included in my report your year-to-date financials on the separate page, immediately after your budget. I know that you only received this a little while ago, and you're probably have some questions, so you might want to take some time to look it over. And we also noted that this report only covers your masters. So you have a separate budget for your townhomes. Moving forward, do you want to include everything together, or would they be separated still?
So it's not here, that other part?
No.
Okay, so I'd like to recommend or suggest that we should keep it separate, but we should keep it in the same packet that we get over.
Yes. So one thing that I did notice, and something that I want to look into, is that there is an overage in your budget. It looks like it's about $11,000. But for the townhomes, and I don't have the actual numbers in front of me, there's a deficit of about $11,000. But for the townhomes, you're over by $24,000. So I just want to make sure that the money was allocated correctly. And when I come to the next meeting, that's something that I'll introduce as old business. In addition to that, I learned a little bit about your community today. Some of you, I think the snarling ones might have received a violation from me. If you received anything at all regarding your grass, I was made aware that that's something that is taken care of by your landscaper, and that's not something that's taken care of by you personally. So I will go back and remove those violations. The board is going to discuss how they want to approach violations moving forward. Basically, I don't know if you want to talk about how you're planning on doing this, but the idea is to give you proper notice, to be able to provide you with the actual documents so you see what's a violation and what's not, and then to give you some time to correct before I make my inspections.
Yeah, just getting on what this mentioned, obviously, most of you and some of the new homeowners, they don't know the rules, right? So if you don't know the rules, how you gonna fix your house or put the trash in where they belong and stuff like that. So I think what we're planning to do is just make sure you have the rule, you understand the rule, give you time, like she mentioned, to address any issue before any warnings that is gonna be sent to you. And plus, we're gonna have committees dedicated just to do the architecture review, violation and all that, so. Very good.
Anybody else got anything to add?
I did want to ask, Christopher, do they have to motion to how long or, how long they're going to give residents? If they want to make it a 30-day period, a 60-day period?
Is it right now?
There we go.
So the first letter, I believe, is 10 days. But it's just a courtesy notice, and then they have a month. So,
But then you mentioned.
but they haven't actually received the rules though. So the idea is that we're gonna be,
Why don't we just table everything until next meeting, and then between them, and then we can draft policy that we
Okay.
can implement that will allow people to get caught up. And I can help work on that between them.
okay.
Okay.
So what about the violations that are currently,
I do the same thing, just put them on for 30 days until we have a chance to digest that stuff, and then we'll talk about it next meeting.
Except for the,
just for clarification, we
yeah.
have no control over any violations that are in the hands of the attorney, the previous attorney. What I'm talking about is just violations that are still in the hands of property management. So you received a letter from an attorney about violations, follow through whatever you have to do with that. We have no control over that. Okay, I just want to make sure we're clear on that. Anything else on the violations?
You had a question about that?
What is the effective date of the change to the new term?
7/21, was it?
Wait, to what?
On the turn, the official date of the turn off.
Oh, you mean when the board turned?
Yeah, 7/21.
Yes, it was.
That's when the judge decided that we are the board 7/21.
So that means that, so I'm just asking because if there were violations under the previous attorney, that they are prior to 7/21.
That's right.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So,
Any lawful activities that took place by the prior board are still lawful even after the turnover. The turnover doesn't invalidate what the previous board did as long as they did it according to the rules. That doesn't necessarily mean that we can't go back and fix some of that stuff. Right? So I know at the moment we have a lot of accounts that are with Frazier. I think we have like 13 or 14 accounts that are at Frazier right now. The intent is to review all of those. And the ones that we can try to resolve or claw back without having to go to litigation, that is the intent. But all I have right now is a spreadsheet with just a very brief description. So all that information is going to have to be gathered before we can figure out how we're going to fix some of those problems. So I'd ask your patience and indulgence as we work through that, but that is on the agenda to try to take care of that. So for those homeowners who are staring down the barrel of litigation, there may be a light at the end of the tunnel for you if we could try to resolve some of that stuff outside of court. So.
Okay, thank you, Chris, for that. So is there anything else to add?
I don't know, there's.
Okay, and just for the record, we have received a copy of all the active contracts, but we just received them, so we haven't had time to digest them. And it will be brought up and discussed further at the next meeting. Okay? So is there any old business that we need to take care of? Anything time sensitive, anything that has not been addressed?
The only thing I can think of is that, I had just recently scheduled backflow. You needed to have that tested, and I sent it over. Have you received that?
I have not, no.
It was taken care of anyway, but, I just wanted to make sure that it was there.
Okay, but I'm just referring to things that have not been addressed or that are time sensitive that we should address today that can't wait. Nothing.
Anything pending with the last board that it's like must get done tonight or it's gonna break apart?
Actually, it's last board,
So we're not aware of anything then.
I'm not aware of any.
Any ARC requests, nothing like that, let me know.
I can look into them and get back to you. Is that something that you want to do at your regular board meetings?
Not necessarily, but if there's something that would come up on a deadline between now and then, I don't know. Because I think if we don't give an answer within 60 days, it's automatically approved. So
Is it possible for them, they can attend them because of this? If there's anything that's outstanding, and it's coming close.
So we're in the process of setting up committees for this stuff, but in the meantime, I think that as soon as you receive it, it should go out to all four board members
yeah,
and we'll figure out how to tackle.
yeah.
But that'll be the best way to handle it, so that, and moving forward, that's one thing I want to be clear on. And I think all the board members here agree with this. All the board members here, I don't care if you're president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, or just director. We all have equal power here. We all have equal responsibility. We all have equal ability to make decisions. So, we want all of us to be knowledgeable because God forbid, one of us get hit by a car, we can't make it here. The other should know what to do. You understand? That's the way the board should operate. So management, if you have something urgent and the first person you get a hold of, you have to tell them, that's fine. But it has to be brought up to everybody at some point so that everyone's aware of what's happening. Okay? That's the precedence we want to set. Yes, sir.
The loan service contract, I think that we right up.
Yes, we have a copy of it. Like I said, we haven't reviewed it yet. We're gonna be posting a lot of these things and sending it to the owners too, so they can see it and, so you guys can have an understanding of what it is and all that. And at the next meeting, we'll make motions to try to figure out what we're gonna do with the landscaping. Right now, there's a lot of things that need to be done, so it's hard to just change everything because then we'll have chaos. We want to transition where we implement better services for, the best for our money and be able to see a difference right away. So we have to still get with those vendors and try to figure out what we can do to at least improve it in the short run. Okay? Correct, that's what I'm up to. So that we're done with that, right? No current expenses pending and no maintenance items.
There's the recall invoice that needs to get voted on.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about that. So we have an invoice from the attorney regarding the recall case. I want everybody to understand that it was 3.5 years in the making before we made this decision. We didn't take it lightly. We tried to negotiate as much as we could. We tried to bring everyone together to the table to try to avoid this. Unfortunately, because of many different reasons, we had to do what we had to do as owners. We all pulled together. We made the decision to go this route. Some of us here have bear even a bigger cost than this, which we're not passing on to you guys. But, I think that it's fair that it took this amount of money to get our community back. And I think it's fair that the community bear that. And what we hope to do is to bring down the costs to a point where your assessments won't be impacted and that the services will be better. Okay, the total cost for our share is $19,487. That's what the attorney has charged to get us through the entire process from beginning to end, which I think it's a very respectable amount of money that, I think it's worth it in the long run.
Put it into context too.
Yeah, put it in the context.
Tell them what Fraser charged.
I didn't want to go there, but.
No, they have to know.
So just so you guys know that this is only our share of the legal expense. But the previous board spent more than $50,000, $60,000, I'm sorry, on trying to fight us not to take control of our board. So what we're asking is very little. Okay? Yeah, yes, sir?
So, quick question, so on the amount that you're talking about, you're going to try and find a way for the community to reimburse that $19,000 or to pay that $19,000?
Correct, to pay it because it hasn't been paid. Yeah.
Huh?
I was just getting
Oh,
understanding.
no, I didn't hear. Okay. And then from that invoice, we pay already, like he said,
There's another
More.
portion of about $15,000 that we paid out of our own pocket that we will never charge the community for. That's a whole other story.
so the money, when there was a GoFundMe page that we gave several $100 to ourselves. That was at
That
the
was
beginning.
That was for the arbitration case that we bear the weight on most of that. And I do appreciate those owners that did contribute, because that's true. Some people did contribute. And we do appreciate that, but you know, a lot of the majority of it came out of our pockets, which it is what it is.
So we understand, so we got the mediation, right, for the bylaws. That was the first thing for the bylaws. Then we did the RICO. This is only for RICO purposes. You know, and the prospective, we, you know, our lawyer charged 19 versus 67,000 from their lawyer.
So you can't go in now to the HOA funds that we have in the kitty to pay this bill, or could you do that if it was approved?
So the recall invoice, because what I was doing is I was sending all of these invoices to Herman, because he was the representative about Homeowners for the recall. But it's a pretty substantial bill, and Herman is just one of 262 people, 262 lots that voted for recall. And so the issue is, do we make Herman bear the brunt of that 19,000, or should we spread that out amongst the community, because a majority of the community voted for recall? And that's what's on the table right now. That invoice is just for the recall. The stuff that we did last year, trying to see if we could challenge the bylaws and all that, that was a separate invoice that these guys paid on their own. We didn't go to the HOA to reimburse that. And that was probably another 15 grand that they paid themselves. So this part is just for the recall, where 262 people voted to make that happen.
Now, I guess the bigger question is, do we have enough funds to pay this bill outright?
You have enough cash on hand to do it. But if you want to break it up, I'll break it up.
I would like that, just because I don't want this to take a dent out of, you know, we might still find some surprises down the line. And if you're willing to do that, I think we should.
That's fine.
So what kind of payment plan will you agree? Maybe 4 payments? Can we do 4 payments? Okay, so. Yes, sir.
So if I'm understanding this, so that both lawyers for both parties are charging the same?
No.
No,
Our lawyer, oh, you have more to say? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, the other lawyer charged the homeowners, and our lawyer is charging the homeowners as well. And homeowners paying for both lawyers? Yes. Which is possible.
Well, in that aspect, yes, because they were in the board, so they use the lawyer for that, right? So.
No. So they, instead of certifying the recall and saying that all of your ballots were good and just turning over the HOA, they elected to fight it. Because they elected to fight the recall, between their side and our side, we have incurred almost $100,000 in legal fees.
And only two of them.
Sue them individually for doing.
No, because they had the lawful right to vote to fight the recall, right? So the only way we'd be able to hold them liable individually is if they did something they weren't supposed to do. So they were the board at the time. It was a decision that they made. They elected to fight it. And they paid Frazier $67,000 to fight us. I only charge these guys 19. Like it's a third of what they paid Frazier, right? But again, you know, the past board wasn't worried about it because they weren't spending their money to fight the recall.
Yeah.
Right? So
I mean, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt our budget for this year, but it's not fair to ask Herman to pay 19 grand. He was representing the majority of the community.
Yeah.
And what I want to,
I think we're going.
no, and we are too.
No,
We found
me
out
too.
an hour ago.
Yeah.
I agree.
We got the budget.
Because same.
Yeah, we got the budget an hour ago. And that's when we found out. I mean, we knew that they were charging a lot. I had no idea it was $67,000.
Amen.
60,000 or whatever that is, has already been paid
That's correct.
That's correct.
by the.
That's
prior-
gone. Correct.
Unique bylaws that say they can do that.
Correct.
So we have no choice, right?
At this point, no. Correct.
We can't do anything about it.
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
and we, even if we didn't elect that board, which, anyway, that's another story. But they were authorized to do what they did, so we now have to take care of the recall bill.
Correct.
Correct.
Now, one thing I want you to keep in perspective is that we also have a lot of waste of money in our budget, and we're gonna do our best to recapture that money by bringing down costs. So I know we're taking a hit right now, and trust me, I'm a homeowner, we're all homeowners. And, you know, there's rumors circulating that we've heard through hearsay that we're gonna raise assessments. That ain't gonna happen on our clock unless we're absolutely broke, which I don't see that right now, okay? But, you know, we're gonna make, you know, right now you could take note, right? It's a total of what, almost $87,000 that we have to try to recapture over time by saving money. And hopefully somebody will bring it up in a future meeting and realize that we've done that or exceeded that.
I know we kind of glazed over when we did this budget, just so that everybody's aware. On your balance sheet right now, you're showing cash assets of almost $400,000. So you're not even close to being broke. But knowing that, my intent is not to put any more of a financial strain on you than I need to. So if we need to break it up over even 6 months, I don't care. I don't care.
That's fair.
That's not a problem. But you know, I don't want anybody to leave here thinking like, oh my God, we don't have any money. That's not true. You guys are still fairly well funded. But yeah, it was a pretty big whack to your budget this year. But if we're frugal, we can try to recapture some of that through some savings. So that's the intent anyway.
So I think the biggest flag that we had in Chicago board that was a little more with us. I think that was very quickly while and more than like Mario said, these are the best thing money wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
So with that in mind, council 4 or 6?
6
Council has allowed us the opportunity to pay this in 6 equal payments. So I want to make a motion to approve the 19,487 of our recall legal bill to be paid on a monthly basis in 6 equal payments to Mr. Chris Wright, our council. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay. The motion carries.
So that'll go to Maria, so she can give that to accountant.
Okay. Moving on to the next order of business. That's it for that, right? We don't have anything else pending?
I think so.
Mention nothing pending.
I'm sorry.
Can you say something?
I was gonna say that I do need you to sign this.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so now we're moving on to new business. So thank you again for putting your trust in us. As you guys know, for the last 3 years, there's only been 5 board members. We have 7 seats on this board. So our first priority is to fill this board. We need 7 members here so that we can be more representative of the community. So right now we're short 3. We're looking for volunteers for these positions. And you want to say anything else about that?
Well, I will say, if you have commitment to the community, you got time to be on the board, you know, you can, I will suggest that you can use the email from, what email will be best for?
What you can do is actually establish a new email. I actually recently just did this. They had, you know, I get to the Gmail account, you know.
I can,
members that,
okay.
You know, list all.
So we can use the
gmail.com
admin.
type of thing.
Just
admin@villasorresident.com.
Okay, so anybody that's interested in participating
quick question.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's it.
You guys have specific profiles in mind, like for example, three of you are in the construction business. We don't have anybody that knows about this thing or this other thing. Maybe representation by sectors in town, somebody from the town, please, those kind of things. That might help for people, volunteer.
Really, somebody who's got the time to commit.
For the committees, we're gonna be looking for specific, like for architecture committee, they have to have engineering background, architecture.
So historically, there hasn't been many volunteers for the board. Historically, there's always been like 5 or 6 at most. The elections, there's always been 2 or 3 extra. So at this point, we're willing to take people that are just willing to work hard and have a passion for the community. I think the experience can come. I mean, if you have property management experience, if you've been on a board before, obviously we want you on here because you'll be a better suited person for the position. But at this point, we don't know if anyone's going to volunteer. We need these seats filled. So I encourage everyone, if you committed to better this community, submit something to us, an email or whatever. Just tell us, I live here. I'm gonna, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been living here and what your intent is with the board. And future meeting, we'll bring everybody together and we'll vote on filling those seats. Those seats will be filled up until the next election. We're not gonna have an election this year because we just took the board and we need time to sort things out. But next year, we intend to have an election, at least of those 3 seats of the people that have been appointed, because we want the entire board to be elected by the community. Okay? Any questions on that?
So you've got 3 committees you're trying to fill. You got the board.
Correct.
That's where I'm going now.
Yeah.
That's next. That was just the board vacancies. Now, historically, there's been only a few owners that are trying to manage everything, and it's very difficult. This is a big community, a lot of moving parts. Everything's fluid. There's a lot of communication issues, no transparencies. So we want to fix that. The best way we feel that we can fix that is by breaking it into smaller parts. There should be homeowners that are not board members that can run a committee because, like you said, some of people have experience in engineering or architecture and they can be on the architecture review committee. Some people have landscaping experience. They can work with our landscapers to make sure the job's being done correctly and we're getting the best value for our money. So right now, I think there's 4 committees, right, that we're trying to fill? Correct. Yeah, so right now we started with 4 committees that we want to fill. Ideally, we'd like 3 to 5 members. If we get more, that'd be great, but at least 3 to 5 members to be representative of the community and work with these individual vendors to try to better our community. We're going based on the majority of the complaints that we've received and where we're trying to put the effort first. So the first thing is architectural review committee. A lot of people say they submitted requests, get changes and modifications approved, and they never receive a response. So we want to be able to live up to our documents. If it says 30 days, you get an answer in less than 30 days. If it says 60 days, then that's when you get your answer. Within the time frame, there'll be communication with the owners about their project so that we make sure that it's being done correctly. So that's one of the ones that we found is very important. Compliance committee, which making sure that the people that are sending that are management, the people that are receiving letters from our management are not just receiving it because of a subjective opinion that something is not right, that they actually go to the rules and regulations and say, well, this is being violated, and the committee can look at it and say, yeah, you're right, we need to fix that. So that is twofold, right? It provides oversight for management, and also management gets reassurance from the owners that she's doing the right thing, making her more confident. Because one of the things she wrote as soon as she introduced herself to us is that she had no direction. She wasn't sure how things should be done in this community. We don't want that. We want her to know this is the expectation. This is how we want you to do violations. This is how letters get sent out, and the committee can help mold that into a way that's more efficient. And this way, the board doesn't have to be dealing with every little thing. The committee handles most of that. If it's beyond the committee's, reach, somebody's being difficult or disagreeing, it comes to her. And if she can't handle it, then it will come to the board. And this way, it doesn't seem like the board is maliciously trying to go after certain people or stuff like that. So I said, and then the landscaping committee, 90% of the complaints I've heard from everywhere that I've been in this community is the landscapers. The landscapers, they're not cutting, they're not edging, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. It's a big community. It's a lot of work. We understand that. And, I think personally, I think that we're undermanned for the job. I think that we're paying top dollar but this landscaping company doesn't have enough employees to handle the business. And I think that that's something we need to look at. And if we have people with expertise that can kind of see, organize this and tell us, what we can do to make it better, it'll be beneficial. Okay. And then the last thing, which is something we've been dealing with a lot lately, is safety. This was a very safe community when I moved here in 2013. Lately, we've been having a lot of issues, people using drugs, people have been attacked on our pool deck. I mean, there's just things that I've never heard of. And this summer has been really a bad year for us in terms of that. I don't know if it's the pandemic or what it is, but I think we need more security here. And I know it's CDD's responsibility to secure this area and everything, but at the end of the day, we occupy the space. We are the ones walking the streets. And if it's not being provided, we kind of have to, get together and try to find a way to make it happen. So neighborhood watch is something I would like to see here, and a committee that deals with safety can actually help facilitate that, help identify areas of concern, trip hazards, the different things throughout the community that could be fixed a lot quicker if somebody was overseeing it. So those are the 4 committees we have in mind right now. And like I said, we'd like to see 3 to 5 homeowners that participate in that. So, if you're into doing any of those things, there's a sign-in sheet that we've put.
Just do a call for volunteers.
Unless anybody wants to volunteer now, I hate to put you on the spot, but if you want to volunteer now, you can do it now, or, you can come talk to us individually, however you would like, or you can sign up on the sheet and we'll give you a call at some point in the near future. Any questions on that?
You're putting all this in the webpage?
Everything will be in all of our social media, webpage, and all communications that we do. And I think we're using Town Square now, it's back. So everyone should get some sort of blast communication about it, okay?
And like you mentioned, we gotta keep using, everything as what we've been doing before. So now, obviously, we cannot be commenting as what we gotta decide on anything since we are now on the board. So it's gotta be more objective and see what's going on.
I'm just saying that you're mentioning that you want to do this. I mean, we all work, we all have things to do. Couple of areas out here.
Yeah.
So let's get back to it.
So maybe
Yes.
maybe it would be beneficial if Maria were to describe the architectural process, so they kind of know what they're getting themselves into.
Mhm.
And then also generally how the violation committee works, so they kind of have an idea what they're getting themselves into. So and it's a legitimate concern. I work with many associations. I'm sure Maria does too. The common denominator is like, look, man, I got a job, I got my kids, I got after school stuff. I don't really have a whole lot of time to volunteer for the community. But I had an opportunity to serve on the violation committee for my neighborhood. And the way we handled it is management just sent us a list of properties. We walked around once a month and said, yep, no, hold, yep, no. And then that was it. And we went to a half-hour meeting once a month. That was my job. So I was able to squeeze that in amongst all of my other activities. So it sounds like a lot, but really it's a couple of hours a month, maybe, that would be needed for some of this stuff. And it would be a huge help, especially on the enforcement side. I can't tell you how many times I've had to tell a board that my hands are tied because we don't have a violation committee. I cannot enforce your covenants effectively without a violation committee. Statute requires an independent panel in order to be able to assess a fine against homeowners for non-compliance. The board can't do it, right? So I've got a neighborhood that's really suffering right now with enforcement issues because they don't have anybody who's willing to volunteer to take that job. So it would be a huge benefit for all of us, especially me, if we could get at least 3 homeowners who are willing to take up the mantle and serve in that function.
I've only been here for 6 months, but I came from a community down in T4 association. And I watched the community all from because nobody was volunteer. So I'll volunteer to share that.
Thank you.
There you go.
So
If I can get 2 more people, just 2 more.
So
I do have a question about that. So
That's one want to do this.
someone is given a summons that they go to the rules and have to pay a fine, whatever. And then they're not paying that fine. Then we have to come back to you as our lawyer and pay you to go after them?
No, so, okay, that, we didn't talk about this when they approved my, no, it's a good question. They,
Oh, you collect that money from people that.
right, it's a great question, because we didn't talk about it when they approved my retainer agreement. My retainer agreement is different than just about every other attorney in the area, because I'm on a flat fee. I don't bill you by the hour. Every month that I come here, there's a certain amount of work that I do. I get the same amount every month, whether I work 100 hours or whether I work none. Okay, what that means though is that every time I have a violation letter that goes out, I'm not sending you a bill for $150. Right? Right? So what it works out to is that every month, each homeowner is paying me like $4.50 every month to not get billed like that, is really what it works out to. So, so to bring that into context with how violations traditionally work, and they haven't decided on a final policy, but I think I'm going to steer them towards something like this. It would be management does their inspection. They send out a friendly reminder. You get a certain amount of time, whether that's a couple of weeks or a month or whatever. If it's still not fixed at the next inspection, that list goes to the compliance committee, to the finding committee. The finding committee does their walkthrough. If you're still not in compliance, then you get an invite to come to a meeting and explain why you haven't fixed whatever it is you were asked to fix. And if you don't show up to the meeting, then we start doing the fine, right? So that there's at least like 2 or 3 months that goes from your initial letter to the time you start getting fined. And even then, I don't tack on attorney's fees on top of that, right? It's just the fine.
You're basically a flat fee.
I am a flat fee.
Okay, that's just what.
The only time I go hourly is if we're either getting sued or I have to sue somebody, and then it goes hourly. But all of the normal monthly contract review, come into these meetings, talking to you guys, answering email, all that stuff is on a flat fee.
That's good. So, thank you.
How would that work with us having so many rental properties?
So the homeowner is the one that's going to get those notices. The homeowner is, yep, I know. And they're going to get the same notices that everybody else gets. The only real difference is that it might take an extra week for the letter to get there. But at the end of the day, the homeowner is the one that's responsible to maintain the property. So if their tenant is not doing what they're supposed to do, what I've done is I've actually leaned on the homeowner to be like, you need to fix your tenant. Because as an HOA board, I don't have any control over your tenant. You know, my contract is with the homeowner, not the tenant. So what I say is look, we're going to impose this fine on your property if your tenant doesn't fix it. And if they don't fix it, one of the carrots that I use to try to get bad tenants out of here is I'll say, we'll forgive that fine if you don't renew the lease with your bum tenant.
Also have it here.
Yeah, well, so again, it's on the homeowner to ultimately maintain that, right? But if the homeowner is getting pressure from us in the form of monetary penalties to change their behavior, one of the carrots that we can use to get them to change their behavior is to say, listen, we'll forgive all of that because it's a soft cost to us. Those fines, that's not money coming out of our pocket. That's money that we weren't planning on. So I could forgive all of that. It doesn't cost us a dime. The homeowner feels like he's making out like a bill, and we get the benefit of having a better tenant in the neighborhood. So, you know, because I'm on a flat fee, we get those kind of benefits. Like all of these are now negotiating tools that we can use to try to help, you know, change the community for the better without having to go to court every time somebody hiccups.
And then on the future, what we're thinking is rules. We have to change our rules. We have so many things in there that are not usable now. So, but we need all of you plus more to change those because you guys need to review it. You guys need to review it and vote on it. So then if we get all the vote, then those rules can be implemented.
Yeah.
The same thing with the bylaws. The bylaws, we're gonna send them, you read them. And if you vote on it, if you like it, you don't like it, then from there.
I know that you guys said that everything was gonna be posted on the social media and everything like we used to. What about the reports, the budget and everything? How often are we gonna receive those reports?
Well, we're gonna post it on our website, on BSR residents. Also, obviously, we need to work on a new domain because that BSR resident, I
So
just bought it on my
The
own.
budget and the balance sheet, that would be fine. The income and expense report, But like for receivables and stuff like that?
No,
Because
no,
that's got
No,
people's
they want
personal
just general-
identification.
no, general, they want general
Right,
information
so-
that they don't have.
We haven't decided that yet, but at some point in the near future, we'll decide whether it'll be monthly or quarterly. But you'll have some type of consistency.
Yeah, but all that stuff is open to the membership anyway, so it just makes sense for us to put it somewhere. You can just download it, so you're not having to bug.
Correct.
manage, you know?
I actually decided.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, we could start with the one that we have.
Yeah, we have, what I want to include on that is, we're gonna do a big audit here. We're gonna do a forensic audit. We're gonna ensure that check and balance, everything that being paid is the same thing that we have in contract with number, because here I can write whatever, and it's beautiful. We need to go all the way to the last penny, to see how everything is spent here. So we can start transparent, clear with all of you.
That's what I was just wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like he mentioned, so if we're gonna start doing new businesses, we want to know that we are, like he said, on zero balance, on our end, so we don't carry anything that it was done, not good for the community.
And just to extrapolate on what you brought up about tenants and Airbnbs, I think it's the HOA's responsibility to know which houses are conducting that kind of business and have some sort of accountability of those owners. So that's part of our plan. Obviously, it's not gonna happen right away, but over time, we plan to know which houses are being rented, how long the lease is for, when the lease is gonna renew. The same thing for people that sell their properties. When a property goes for sale, title company needs to know that there's an HOA here, they need to contact management. There's a process to get estoppel, there's a process to get the documents. All this stuff is stuff that I don't think has happened, that needs,
And to give them a welcome to the
and give them a
community.
welcome to the community.
So right now, we don't have a say on who's renting, who's buying.
Not that we know of yet.
For that reason, we need those rules implemented.
Yeah, I'm gonna have these with Airbnbs because I use it myself now. I'm retired, I cannot retire to do this. When you rent an Airbnb are easier to handle, people know how to do it. That person that he owns that Airbnb, we can make any complaint to them if they're not following those rules. You can come to the Airbnb and let them know I have a problem with these property. The owner needs to fix that problem himself, or he will be removed for our Airbnb. So that's for you, all of you college, so you can utilize that. And you can do the research on Airbnb page, and it tells you exactly how to control those complaints. And Airbnb has, they 72 hours to respond to you.
So a common question that comes up is whether or not the homeowners association has the right to reject tenants. Some do. We do not.
We do not.
Because
It's not in our CCNRs. We don't have the authority to tell a landlord that he cannot rent to a certain person.
Yeah. And
That's what-
we were sold on the premise of
What we
short-term
can
rental.
what we can do is ask for the contact information and a copy of the lease, of tenants that they do have, because we have common elements that they're gonna be using, right? So it's a knowledge issue, but I can't tell a landlord like, no, you can't rent to that guy. We don't like how he feels, or he's got a criminal, whatever. It's just, if it was in our documents, then we could do that.
Unless we change them, then that's our goal.
But even then,
Don't say that.
no, they don't. No, they don't. And because the community's been established so long, I'm not convinced that even if we were to add that to our CCNRs at this point, that it would be enforceable in court. And the reason I say that is because you're now taking a right away from homeowners that they had already had, right? It's one thing when you buy the property subject to certain restrictions. It's another one when you try to impose new restrictions on a homeowner after the fact. Right, and that would be a big one. The restriction on what's called alienability of title is a big, big issue. That's why a lot of condo associations end up in massive litigation over some of this. So, I mean, if we could muster the support in the community, and I mean like a lot of support in the community, we could try it, but just for like FYI, if anybody challenges it, it's gonna end up in court.
Okay, gotcha.
You can keep raising your hand and we keep just talking over your head.
It is going back to the committee. I don't know if you guys will agree with me, but I believe a sort of community will make us allow
Yes.
stronger.
We 110% agree with you. The thing what we're doing now is we don't know how many volunteers we're gonna have. So we're trying to deal with the most important committees first. but that's next. We would like to have that too. Yeah, we didn't think about that. Thank you for bringing that up, and that's right. But are you volunteering for a social committee? All right, what's your name?
Social security number now.
Okay. I'm gonna take you up on that.
I'll join that committee.
You too? All right. We got two on the social committee already. Look at that.
All right. Did I not make the case good enough for the violation?
Oh, The social committee is the first committee to be fully staffed.
Go on it, who's in charge?
You want to do that now?
What I miss?
Do we need to vote on establishing this committee now?
Are you gonna give them a budget?
No.
You should. If you're gonna have a social committee, you should give them a budget. Plan something.
So let's figure that out. We'll do it
Later.
next week.
Yeah.
But we got the volunteers. That's what's important. Okay. Anybody else have any other comments? This is the open forum. Anybody want to talk? Now's the time to talk. And
One more. So of course, we can't decide who you want to rent to. But there are laws in Florida that if someone's renting a home and there's 4 bedrooms, they can't rent out each of those bedrooms to a different person that's not a family.
Yeah.
that's correct. It's a single family home.
That would be-
That's right, but that would be a code violation.
Correct.
That we would
Code
report to the county.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if we know of several homes that are doing that now. we
Yeah.
can report that to
to the county.
Well, you could call the county directly if you want.
Okay.
I mean, we could try to track down the number of the guy you gotta call if you wanna do that.
I'm
But-
glad you brought that up, Jack, because
There is a problem in the townhomes and in some of the homes.
Yeah, that would be code enforcement. That would be the county we'd have to go.
I'm
to.
glad you brought that up because that's another thing, right? As a community, we always try to deal everything with the HOA, but the county has tons of resources that we can use for certain things that will be beneficial to bring us together. Like Herman has taken it upon himself to start doing patrolling with his security light, trying to deter crime, right? As a result of him doing that, now we have 2 or 3 deputies that actually come here regularly who have a relationship, who know that we mean no harm. We're just trying to do the right thing and they're helping us. They're giving us advice. You guys should do this. You guys should do that. So, I think that's kind of what Chris was just saying. If you see code violations, call code enforcement. Code enforcement comes out 2 or 3 times. I guarantee you it's going to be the same person all the time. You're going to establish a relationship with that person. And when you call, you're more likely to get them out there the next day. And things will get taken care of. Yes, sir.
Parking is there. Complaint. The other problem is that when you rent to 4 or 5 people in one house, you got 4 or 5 cars. And they take all these things.
No, yeah.
Right. And I know that's particularly a big problem in the townhomes where there's a lot of reduced parking. Unfortunately, with public streets, that's very hard for us to, the HOA can only enforce things from your driveway to the outside of your house. That's it. So street parking is something the CDD would have to tackle.
I went to the driveway today, and it is painfully to park down in the other, some other bit.
Yeah, and that should always be your first resort, as neighbors, I think we all need to kind of knock on the door next door every once in a while, say hi, talk to people. Because when something bad happens, you can always kind of say, hey, can you help me out? I've had people who tell me, can I park all my cars in front of your house? I'm having a party. If I'm not having a party, I'm sure. I'm not going to use it. Just don't block my driveway so I can get out, So it's kind of like, and I noticed that some neighbors are like, oh, don't park in front of my house. That's my parking. And it's kind of like not really true. But we need to get along better. That's part of being a neighbor. Anything else?
This includes the front gate.
No, that's CDD also.
Remember November.
That's right.
November, November.
Yes.
Safety issue in my house. Can I bring that up?
Yes.
Safety issue in what sense?
With farm that is in my entrance. I sent an email to Mrs. Agosto. She didn't even respond, none of them. So the farm is obstructing my entrance and my family is in high risk to have an accident later.
Correct.
So I sent the pictures and sent email and she didn't even. What's her name?
It's a poultry.
Leda,
Give me your name and address.
name and address.
You have the email. I-
No, name, no, tell her the name.
50, the phone number. And every day, this car is more
Yeah.
in my.
Yes.
I understand, but get with management, the meetings are more for issues that apply to all of us. Any personal issues, try to deal directly with management or talk to us at some point. We can help you out with it, okay?
Yes, because I'm concerned about that,
Yes.
and I try to do my best.
Understand.
We have been like a month.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
There's a couple homeowners that walk their dog without a leash, and I've seen a few big dogs. Even my dog got bitten the other day, and how do we go about that?
So the county's got a leash.
That's a code enforcement issue too, no?
Well, that would be the easiest way to do it. I bet you we have a leash requirement in our docs.
I'm pretty sure.
Hold on a second, I'll check.
And they're also supposed to pick up.
But the quickest way to do it
Yeah.
in the county, because I mean,
I see on my block, a lot of dogs walking themselves.
They walk in.
if we
Who's gonna
have,
pick it up, right?
if we have a violation committee, you could do a violation for not putting your dog on a leash. But the county.
Volunteers.
But yeah. Allow me to take this moment.
Hey, yes,
Jason needs help.
yeah, we need count. Dude,
But the county, if you get them out here like code enforcement, they'll give a dude a ticket right on the spot, like here, $100 fine. I think it's a $100 fine,
Mhm.
right on the spot.
Code enforcement
Yep.
in the county, but also many people don't know that if you have a service dog, you don't are required to use a leash. And I already checked that with the county,
Oh, that's it.
because I know that there are some neighbors. that I'm concerned
I didn't know
about.
that. Did you know that?
Yeah.
There's nothing that.
I didn't know.
And then the small dogs too.
Anybody else?
Small dogs, usually.
Sure.
I'm not sure they answer. I know that back a couple of years ago, there was a question or concern about a resident that was, how do we go about it? I don't know if there's schools and communities where there are parents or.
As far as I know, I think they only have to report, right? They have to report
Sorry, what?
the sexual offenders in the community.
Yes.
They would just have to register. I don't think we have, HOA, I don't think has any right to change anything with that.
No, but if you know somebody who is a sexual offender and they didn't register according to law, you can certainly report that to law enforcement and they will fix that quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I remember that there was something a couple, maybe like a year ago, something about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I'm just asking.
as long as they're registered, I don't think that.
Because it's actually, so if you're required to register as a sex offender and you haven't, that's a violation of probation. And that guy or gal can get thrown right back in the slammer for not doing it. So it's a big, but that's definitely a law enforcement thing. We're not.
At the moment, certain with kids,
Yeah.
so it's awesome for us to know.
You're right. A couple years ago, it was a false accusation.
Yeah, it did not.
In our neighborhood. He didn't even live in our neighborhood.
Imagine that.
He was a brother of someone who lived in our neighborhood. And it was terrible. A neighbor of ours, he's a friend of ours, and he's a neighbor.
Oh, anyone else?
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Good evening, new village of HOA board. I hope you're ready to the new journey that you are embarking. I hope you can accomplish at least 50% of what you promised to the 52% of the community. That's the case, Village Hall will be the best community in the United States. Remember the budget before hiring anyone. Hopefully, the board will keep the promise and not having to bring people on the HOA and the city. That means that you have to close your face-to-face or WhatsApp, that's up to you. I would like to continue the pending legal cases that we have in our community, especially the cable, in which the previous board had invested a lot of funds through the service, the contract, and the cable for all of us. Cable contract is a substantial amount, and you have your records, and the residents don't have any input on it. Also, to continue pursuing the collection asset that they are high amounts. You already have the records, you have the names of the people. Well, I don't want to mention the amounts. You have the total regulations as well, and the people that are included there. I would like you to take in consideration and don't rehire the previous, vendors that we have here before. For different reasons that you already know, especially locally in the community. The previous board worked hard for this community for the last 2 years to cancel those contracts and negotiate better prices. You have a net income of over $8,000 that you have there. You have your income statement that is included there. That we still have and money over, even with the pandemic, inflation, and all legal expenses for mediation, arbitration, and recall. No increase whereas were due during the last 6 years. The forensic audit that you guys mentioned, you can save that money, but that's up to you if you would like to do it. We also provide a copy of the reserve study. I sent it to your manager. I'm assuming that she didn't give it to you. That was not last year about the conditions of the roofs of the townhouses. Also, please, I would like to sue the human violation. You already mentioned that you want to go over that. Thank you for that. A lot of people they disregard the letters, the terms, and the board, previous board. I hope that you can increase following the rules and taking advice that even that some of you told the residents not to follow anything because it was a previous board. That's up to you. I would like you to give you the best for the rest of the community that you can improve and you can do better than the previous board, even though we have disagreements. I will thank you for your time. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? So, thank you very much for the report, former board member. That's one of the things that we found out as soon as we won this case. And I don't think any of us had any idea, but, but about 50%, more than 50%, about 57% of our budget goes to cable and internet. I'm sure nobody knew that. I know I didn't. 57%. So if you take the money you pay per month, about 57% of that goes to the cable and internet, which is alarming because if you divide that over the 489 properties, you're talking about $95 a month, which I think a lot of us with the promotions Spectrum gives can pay a lot less than that. So.
Yeah.
No, but I'm talking about
The cable bill.
the main association, not the extra at the time.
And that, so you guys know, back in 2015, we started a lawsuit against that cable company, right? So we gave that to the board and we've raised the community. Most of you were here when we put sign here not to buy, whatever, because that reason. So since then, we have that, but then it got dropped until last year that they put it in court again.
Yeah.
So, but that's something that we gotta work on because it's just, you know.
That contract was supposed to expire next year. However, the developer, I guess, defaulted on some of the payments to this cable company, and they gave them another 5-year extension till 2028 prior to them turning over the board to us. So I pride myself on having negotiation skills. I trust that we will find a common medium where we can save some money and hopefully save our budget that way. And whatever we can do, we'll pass it on to the owners. And that's the promise we made. Anybody else has anything else? Yes.
I have a question regarding the CDD fees. And I lived here for about 4 years and never had any information of how long it is or.
Next meeting is gonna be August 9 at 1 p.m. That's for the CDD.
And the CDD has a website where all these documents are supposed to be there that you can review. It's via solcdd.org, I believe. But we're not CDD. We cannot elaborate on that.
Disculpe,
Dígame.
¿el CD va a ser igual los ciclos de X-Ray?
Este año.
Ahorita no, en noviembre estamos corriendo para. Yes, just to translate, he's asking if the CDD members are going to be the same as the HOA members again. I'm explaining that for this year, we're running for the CDD because We just don't see anybody else volunteering, and that's what we volunteered. Our goal is to kind of put the community on the right track and try to make the CDD and the HOA work together rather than against each other. No, they'll work together. I'm saying they'll be separate. Right, so.
And, yeah,
So when we, like I said, we plan to bring up some new rules for the HOA at some point, hopefully soon. And our goal, and I made this promise to a lot of you guys that voted for the recall, our goal is to pass a rule in the HOA at some point with the support of 75% of this community that you cannot sit on both boards, period, because it is a conflict of interest. It's what's gotten us into the mess that we're in right now. And I think that we have no control of who runs for the CDD. Because until recently, I found out that tenants can run for CDD seats. As long as you live in the community, I mean, your cousin who lives in the house with you can run for the CDD. As long as you live in the community, you can be on the CDD board. So.
Podemos tener nuevas administraciones de, o sea, no inflamar, o otra que sean locales.
Yeah.
Podamos ir.
For HOA, para HOA. So we're only talking about HOA, solo HOA hoy, porque este es el HOA meeting. So our goal is to get the best value for our money when it comes to all vendors. So the contract with Infomark expires at the end of this year. Okay, our goal is we're gonna bid every single contract out, okay? Infomark will have an opportunity to bid. And at the end of the day, we're gonna look at all these contracts and we're gonna figure out who's the best fit for this community, in our opinion. And you guys are gonna be part of the process. We're gonna have vendor expos where you get to meet these people before they submit their proposals. So you can meet them, you can shake their hand, and you can also give some feedback back to the board as to why you want a certain company. You understand? So, we want this to be about all of us, not just the board. Okay, so every vendor will be rebidded, and, I can't promise you that it's not gonna be Infomark or that it is gonna be Infomark. I don't know. At the end of the day, whatever bids we get, the best fit, because you never know. I know that some people are upset with Infomark because of our past, and I started this meeting by saying, forget the past, let's start moving forward. Who knows? Maria's new to this community too. Maybe she winds up being the best manager we ever thought we could ever have. I don't know. So we got to keep an open mind. That's all I ask, but we guarantee that we're going to rebid every contract.
Nos podemos quedar una aquí local que vamos a hablar con ellos. Porque aquí les robaron mucha plata, lo que le inflamar.
Entiendo.
Los vendedores, para venir con el comentario, era una carta, y cada vez que tenía una carta eran $600 y me tocaba que pagar más. Y nosotros estamos pagando aquí.
Eso.
Y queremos que nos atiendan a nosotros y no que nos saquen plata.
Pero eso después si quieren,
vamos a hablar. Entiendo.
Correcto.
Entiendo. Gracias. He just
No.
It's fair what you're asking. In general, he's had a negative experience with Infomark and he prefers for us to go with a different company.
That's his opinion.
I basically said, we're gonna bid everything out. Infomark will have their chance to bid as well, and we're gonna pick the best contract for the community, irrespective of who it is.
Something office where, it can be easier for us to access, clubhouse cars, stickers, and.
That's TDD, yeah.
Let's see, when it comes to contacting Infomark, I'm usually the last person that you would reach out to. I'm not sure how you got my email address, but it's supposed to go through customer care, which is customer service. You can send them an email. And then after, to say customer service can't resolve it, then it would go to my administrative assistant. And if they can't resolve it, then it would go to me. So today, I started my day at 8:30 in the morning and I was still out. Yesterday was just like this. I'm usually out doing inspections and I have night meetings, which is why it's very difficult for me to get to them. So really prefer that you go through the process of going through each person. And ultimately, I do eventually get to email, but these are very long days for me.
Is it possible that you could maybe put a handout or something, or a card or something that we could provide them even at meetings or mail out to their house?
Yeah, and I'm also, when I go home, I'll be posting on Town Square who you can contact, not looking anything out loud, that's everything.
And how long it takes from the person to, when they contact customer care, to receive a response?
Okay, so this is something I literally heard yesterday from the community. Customer care, it sounds like it's falling behind as well. So in the past, I've been told that they're very good when it comes to, like, you send them a message to the board and they respond right away. Yesterday, I heard that's not the case. So this is something that I am addressing. But typically the expectation is 48 hours. So
And then if it's an emergency, what they do?
it's an emergency, they would push it through to me.
Oh,
Yeah, so and a lot of times board members will tell me about emergencies.
Got it.
Obviously, I'm.
Yes. And in her defense, you know, we have been reaching out to her for just about everything because we've had no guidance on this. I mean, I've been here since 2013 and this month is the first time I've heard that Infomart even has customer care.
Yeah,
I've never heard of
I
that.
should also tell you that your experience will be different. I live around the corner. I live in Eagle Bay. So I know that previously you've had people who lived in Tampa.
yeah.
So when they would come out, I don't think it was consistent. I don't think that, they were necessarily following the rules in the same way, but when I come out, I'm basically just going by, you know, my, technology. And which is why I didn't realize that you have a strange agreement with the landscaper and why many of you probably have violations regarding your grass, that you shouldn't have. But, yeah, so, you know, I have been making sure to come out here and there's a few people that I've spoken with that have had issues and I live so close that I literally just come to the community just to look at it and there, rather than wait for my next inspection. So I spend a lot of time outside.
I have a question. Do we have like a master contact sheet for every owner, for every unit?
Yes.
And how often is that updated?
So when somebody closes on a house, we would receive that information.
I think, you know, I don't know, my suggestion is that we try to get a process in place where it's updated yearly. Just to make sure that we have the latest, because, you know, it's frustrating with the recall. I did a lot of door knocking. And I'm gonna tell you, the townhomes, 90% of the townhomes are either renters or people that no one ever knew that they're like, what? There's an HOA here?
Have a policy for Airbnb or rentals.
I understand.
Then it's gonna be very difficult.
No, no.
I've had other communities establish a policy.
No, and I'm not trying to ask you
Just
for
to
the communication with tenants. I'm trying to just be owners. Because as an HOA board, as an HOA institution, we have a right to the owners. So we need to be able to, like somebody said, if an Airbnb is asking you call the owner first, HOA should be able to get the owner on the phone. But even if they're a foreigner, they're supposed to have a property management company here that can make that contact. You understand? And I don't believe that the HOA has had that updated because obviously this is why a lot of signatures were questioned, a lot of addresses were questioned, because the HOA records are not active. So I would like for us to probably expedite that as soon as possible to update those contacts to make sure we have the right contact. And also, if in that same communication, we should have the consent for electronic communication. And if people don't want electronic communication, then they can say what they want, you know, if they want email or, you know, telephone call or whatever it is, give them the option of what the preferred method of communication is. So we're able to communicate more effectively with them, if that's okay. Is you guys
Yes.
okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
One of those.
Go ahead. Then Ms. Wilson.
Yeah, you'll be able to call this community when it comes to time to pay stuff and let.
Yeah, we have an entire department for that.
Yeah, what it is that I had the opportunity to see a lot of communities, the fee for example, letters, a lot of communities above and beyond the charge.
How much do they charge if you don't mind me asking?
For example, the local charge is $250 or $300, and over here is $600 or $700.
Wow.
That doesn't sound right, so I pulled the face to it.
Yes, maybe we could get something in writing of what all the fees and what charges are.
Obviously, you gotta have.
Thank you for bringing that up also. Go ahead, Mrs. Ford.
I'm Anthony Workman, and I have been community for 15 years, and I just wanted to know, that I am going to be able in November, because I think we need a woman's perspective on these boards here. And furthermore,
All right, moving on.
and I'm on for the social committee. I have many years ago, actually, HOA, we can't have a social committee. The answer to back then was, yes, we can, but we can't use any funds from HOA.
Yeah, that was
So
before.
because of the liability, if somebody gets hurt during that event.
Legal.
So I just want to give you a heads up, just please look into that.
Oh, we'll definitely iron out the legalities of that.
We have an insurance policy, right?
We have an insurance policy and also, so you could look at your budget and see if you have some money available. And if you decide to have social events, you don't have to use all of the money from your budget. You can get art, you can get donations. You
Yeah.
can get vendors, you have a lot of people that are gonna market community. There's so many ways to raise money outside of here. You have so many houses in here, people think there's an opportunity for them to do one. Right. For showing people absolutely right.
You can make people sign waivers too.
Yes, but I mean, don't forget some of the things that you just need to be aware of.
Oscar?
Mike, but I have another question. If I have a issue with anything in the community and I email you, can I expect an email from you guys?
Are
Or,
you talking about the board?
yeah,
Okay, so as I stated earlier, we as a board don't want to have to deal with every little nuance that every owner has because there's a process for that. So if it's something that you feel we personally can help you with because you know us and you think we have some sort of experience, that's fine. Approach me anytime. Call me about anything you want. But if you want to address something officially about the HOA, I'd rather you follow the channels first, like everybody else. Call customer care. If customer care doesn't resolve it, you can reach out to the manager
Yeah.
or email. There's no phone call?
But from everything that I've heard is a long wait with customer care. And also if you're sending an email, you also have a trail. So
Okay.
it's just better, it's quicker, it's more efficient and it's more.
So customer care doesn't record phone calls for quality assurance?
I'm sure they have.
And we added you to the social, we added you to the social, right?
The social committee,
Excuse me. Wait,
you're volunteering?
Oh, she's not.
Before I go to the next person, I'm acknowledging you. I'm gonna call you.
By CC as what is HOA, because that was a big confusion the whole time I lived here. Oh, CDC, and they say, no, it's the HOA, or it's the police.
I'm gonna give you a quick and dirty rule that's unofficial. Okay, here's a quick rule that's unofficial. If it's on the sidewalk to the street, it's CDD. If it's common area, it's CDD.
But the CDD says the parking and that street stuff is the police or the county. I mean, you can go round and round and never get it resolved.
So you're talking about two different things. You're talking about enforcement versus.
So let me ask one more thing about the CDC. Oh, there you don't get an answer either. So. But they are responsible for the common areas, right? Not the houses or the townhouses. They're responsible for the common areas. So if they're using a sprinkler system in the common area and then we drive in and it's during the day when it's 90 degrees and they're gonna use more water, who's paying for the water?
Us.
Us through the CDD,
Yeah.
through our taxes.
So again, we don't have any control. So you guys are taking on a big responsibility, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
But in terms of trying to get answers on any of these things, it's very difficult.
It's a beast of an institution, but we have to take it one step at a time.
And customer care, they don't even answer their phone. Please leave a message. We are busy. We have high volumes. I mean, honestly, that's the truth.
So,
When Alpha was the first
Manager, yeah.
for one of the new management companies, she gave her email address and she responded and she got fired for that.
yeah. You're right.
And
So-
she can't interact with them and told me, you do not call me, you do not text me, you do not email me, you go to customer care. And they told me she was wrong to even give me a copy of that right view contract.
So moving forward, like I said, it's a new era, it's a new beginning.
Yep.
We're gonna try to use the proper channels. I'm sure it's not gonna be cheap.
Makes a legitimate point.
Like I said, this is the honeymoon right now. Everyone's happy, everyone's looking forward to it. We're gonna hit our snags, but we'll work through it.
But if that, we gotta, go ahead.
That's a legitimate point, though.
Yeah.
If she's trying and she'd be like, look, I got 8 emails, nothing's, she should bring it here.
Yeah.
Yes, you should bring it to us,
Yeah.
yeah. And if the process isn't working, then you bring it to the board, yeah.
Is there a way that we can actually know what's the correct process and the channels that we need to go for, I don't know, or whatever?
We will write it up and make sure everyone gets a copy of that, so that everybody's on the same page.
Okay, here's the problem. We ask, please, give us some time. We saw the budget for the first time now before you walked the door. We saw the contracts. I picked up one, turned it over. I haven't even had a chance to look at it, right? So give us some time. You gotta, allow us the time to right size, look at things, figure out what direction we're heading, as a board. And then we're all for this. We want to make things easy on you. If the process isn't working, we want to hear about it because we want to correct it. We want things to work smoothly. And with your help, we can get there. Right now, we're kind of in a little bit of a crazy phase as we're getting through this, but give us some time. Give us the due diligence to look over all this paperwork. As you see, we have tons of it in front of us. That was just a very small sliver of everything. We have a lot of work. We do recognize that. And we're gonna need your help to get through it. But again, be patient with us. We're gonna tackle the things that you guys feel are important, try to get to those first. And again, there's a long road to get to that end result where everything is where we would love to see it. But it's going to take time. It's not gonna happen tomorrow. I hate to say that. I wish we could just, blink, genie, whatever it is. But it's gonna take us some time. So your patience is appreciated right from the get-go. But again, we'll get there. We'll get there. Give us the time, give us the due diligence. We're committed to making this the way it should be, the way you expect.
And then like Corey mentioned, today is the 28th. We got the response from court the 21st, so 7 days. And, in 7 days, we cannot do, a lot on this process. It's huge. Yeah,
It's been so long.
I know. It's exciting. Yeah, I know. No, yes.
We want all this to happen. We're there with you. We're excited with you.
But a lot of that time sensitive stuff, they put on hold for the next 30 days anyway. So, the violation letters, the collection stuff, like we got at least till next meeting, nothing's gonna happen. I'm not even gonna have a chance to go through all that between now and next meeting, I'm just telling you. So none of that's gonna move forward for the next 30 days. And then hopefully as we, the next meeting and then the following meeting, we'll get into a stride. We'll be able to pick that stuff up and move it. So if you got a nasty grant from the past attorneys or whatever, don't worry about it. All right, at least not for the next 30 days. We're not doing it.
Hold on, ladies, she had a question.
Your HOA meetings, will they always be at 7? Or are they going to be?
Right now, I'm actually gonna make a motion before we close about stating that, what we have discussed and suggested, and we gotta approve it, is that I'd like to be consistent. And I'd like to have a set day every month at a certain time, so that everyone has the expectation that we meet every last Thursday of the month at 7 PM here.
That's it.
Okay, and this way there's no confusion. I don't know where they are. I don't know what time. we're not gonna move the time around. We're gonna leave it exactly. I mean, we like the turnout that we had today. And we hope that next time there's even more people here. Maybe we'll need a bigger venue soon.
And then we got
We
the
will give
one,
you as well as soon address, so if you are busy,
You haven't,
you can follow us on the camera.
everybody's full? Okay.
Okay, I have one more question, and it's for the lawyer. I got many letters of violation with past administration, and when I asked for the citation, they provided the Texas citation. So I'm very concerned about that. I have the letter in original, when they provide the Texas code in order to get a violation here. I'm a lawyer too, I'm licensed in Puerto Rico, so how this happened, I'm not reading.
Okay.
So,
So
You asked for a copy and they gave you you asked for the original, they gave you a copy, is that?
Yeah, I asked for the citation of why I was in violation, and Inframat provided a letter with the code, a Texas code. Texas,
No.
I have the video.
Like cited a Texas statute.
Yes,
That's pretty.
yes,
Yeah.
I have the letter.
so, no, but that one, we can send it later so he can see it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't stress out about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll fix all of that.
yeah.
In the interest of time, if there's nobody else to talk, I'm gonna go ahead and proceed.
One more? No?
Who
No,
else?
no.
We got everybody? Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I'd like to, move now to set our next meeting for the last Thursday in August at 7 PM. Do I get a second?
I second.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So last Thursday in August,
25th, right?
somebody gotta look at the calendar, I don't know, 25th?
Yeah.
7 PM, we'll be right here. Okay,
August 25th.
25th. 25th.
now. The last question I had, like with regards to bank accounts and stuff like that,
Are we still?
is there a process for transitioning that?
No, we didn't adjourn yet.
No, I'm saying names on those accounts, previous board versus.
Yeah, because we need to change the signatures
Yeah,
on the
signature
account.
cards, stuff like that.
Are we done? We're done, let's just adjourn.
Yeah.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.